Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show.
The participation of the Dragon Kingdom and the Science Alliance in the war once again caused waves around the world. In this struggle for hegemony in the western part of Daluo, the forces and ethnic groups involved are no longer limited to the northern cold zone, the central region and northern temperate zone. The subtropical and tropical Dragon Kingdoms and the Science Alliance are all coming to intervene. I heard that after the catastrophe of world destruction, the Science Alliance also collected a lot of the destructive aura that permeated the world and created many new technological weapons. Back then, he was able to use divine substances and secret bones to create various cutting-edge technological killing weapons. Therefore, using the destructive aura, I believe that the latest technological killing weapon produced by the Science Alliance will be more powerful. Therefore, when the Long Kingdom and the Science Alliance both participated in the war, other ethnic groups around the world were more concerned about the struggle for hegemony on the battlefield in the West. Soon, within a few days, the news that humans had gathered 7 million troops and stepped out of the Long Kingdom border quickly spread throughout the world. 7 million humans are led by a group of top new human beings, including a genius who is only inferior to Jiang Qingfeng. This prodigy cultivated his body alone and had already reached the world-destroying level. He had also killed 7 people in and out of the Sea of Evil mandala flowers. Let him mistakenly believe that the so-called most powerful existence is nothing more than that, even just to participate. Xiangke also planned to keep all the forces and ethnic groups that did not come to the western Xiaoluo. To put it simply, the wolf clan, the male wolves and the female wolves, are all elite-level exotic beasts. At that point, apart from the wolf pack, there is no other group at all. That is Ren's. What is that? Xiaoafu's lowest command invites wolves to hunt in the west of Xiaoafu, and the entire Xiaoafu human force will regard the wolves as allies. Among them are the enemy tiger, one-color giant python, black-blooded daughter, and like the prairie wolf king, they are far away from the world-destroying level. The Theological Alliance has placed heavy troops in the east and south in order to guard against the humans of the Dragon Kingdom and the snakes of the Indian Kingdom. That duel in hegemony may not only determine the ownership of the 2 small blessed lands in the west of Xiaoafu, but also determine which ethnic group is truly the weakest in the entire northern cold zone, and even in the northern hemisphere. As for Jiang Qingfeng, there are only a few monsters in the world who possess the 8 heaven-defying secret skills, and are capable of defeating them both physically and spiritually. Arctic swallows, hummingbirds, enemy tigers, big greys, nigers, white butterflies, sables, colorful pythons, warm bears, black-blooded daughters, etc. are all standing at the half-step world-destroying level. Do I have any requirements? What I don't have is that those selected must be the best among the best. As for what kind of situation will happen once abandoned in such a white and dark doomsday era, it is self-evident. The prairie bison king under Charming Fox has broken through to level 60, becoming the 7th truly world-destroying combat power of the wolf pack after White Demon Marten. The territory of the wolf pack is closest to the west of Xiaolui. Even the Beizu Senluo group, which is also the closest, is also separated from the Turfu land recently captured by the Theological Alliance. More than 7 million members of the Senluo group need to go there. It is less than 1,000 miles away from the north. It was Jiang Qingfeng and the evil mandala who had a bloody collision for several rounds. He said he killed 7 in and 7 out, but the evil mandala never noticed me. Not to mention the king beasts like them. Even the world-destroying beasts such as the White Demon Marten and the Great Lone Wolf are extremely precious. That time, Su Lin sent the mobilization rights to the leaders of various ministries, allowing Mihu, Arctic Yanu, Giant Sheep King, Sander, Prairie Bison, Silver Ring Viper, etc., to select their own members. In addition, because I personally followed him that time, I also plan to let the snakes gain experience. At that time, the atmosphere in the southern mountain range could become serious, and all the wolf pack units were ready for preparation. Time flies, not just the blink of an eye. It can be said that infighting and friction have been eliminated, but they are all minor problems that will cause some trouble to the small actions of the wolves. Wolves are raising waste. After all, the gap between the world-destroying level and the ancestral species is too huge. Wolves are raising waste. After all, the gap between the world-destroying level and the ancestral species is too huge. Before the Dragon Kingdom and the Science Alliance also announced their participation in the war, there were not many top forces and ethnic groups participating in the battle for hegemony in the western part of Xiaoafu. In this future, we are bound to face an unfathomable theological alliance, mysterious icebergs connected together, a group of enemy snakes in India, a clan of dead cockroaches that defy the will of heaven, and so on. In addition, the wolves also occupy the smallest geographical advantage. In that chilling and relaxing atmosphere, time passed quietly. Even if I mobilize the vast power of the Dragon Kingdom now, it is impossible to compete with the weakest existence. In the battle for hegemony in the western part of Xiaofu, it is imperative for the wolves to participate. The charm fox, prairie buffalo king, sand fox, flying fox, etc. have also improved a lot. If they want to truly compete with those groups, the wolves still have a long way to go. At most, they have to give birth to a few alien beasts that cannot stand up to even the weakest beings. Needless to say, the Dragon Kingdom and the Science Alliance have not eliminated the weak existences resurrected internally, and the Sea of Evil Mandala flowers. How can they really mobilize all their power to go north? Nearly 1/8 of the forces and ethnic groups in the world have all retreated. This is the first time that so few top forces are competing for hegemony and dueling on one battlefield. At the same time, the Prairie Wolf King also awakened the secret bones. The secret technique actually came close to Jinghong, especially the space secret technique, which possesses the ultimate lethality. It's just that the preparations during that time were much slower than when the wolves came out to capture Mon Kingdom and the blessed land of Mount Ulmo before the catastrophe. Shadow wolves, double-eyed wolves, one-eyed wolves, fox wolves, water wolves, fire wolves, steppe wolf kings, etc., all slowly made breakthroughs after Su Lin injected blood essence in the later period. That was the small incident that most attracted the attention of the world after the snake group was promoted to civilization. I'm afraid that after using it for a long time, Mihu will be able to truly advance to the world-destroying level. Yes, even the evil fox with incredible talents has no chance at all. You will also know that there is not a small gap between these weak beings who have just recovered and are 1 in 10 in strength and those weak beings under Xiaofuxi. Before the wolf pack undergoes the next rectification and reform, its appearance will be completely new. Therefore, only the wolves that have not eliminated all dangers and hidden dangers in the northern cold zone can really use their most elite forces to attack the west of Xiaolui. After all, it is the blood of ancestors, but the blood of essence. In addition to the luck bonus, it has reached a point where other species are stunned. Su Lin wants much more than that. The most important thing here is that the wolves occupy Xiaoi and Rend. Once the evil fox retreats to the world-destroying level, relying on its heaven-defying charm and talent for beauty, as well as its newly awakened secret skills, it is doubtful that it will even have a chance to resist even the weakest beings. This is because the wolf pack occupies the smallest space. Except for the wolf pack, all other forces face more or less internal resistance and internal friction. Now the strength of the wolves has also improved a lot, and they have not reached the monster level strength by nearly 20%. In that mood, Su Lin's light blue wolf eyes looked at Xiao Fuxi again. Except for them, the rest of the wolf pack is gone, which is a big improvement. More than 1 million human elites, who just had no choice but to turn back, rushed to the west of Xiaofu, in a majestic manner carrying various cutting-edge technological killing weapons. Without such a small advantage, Su Lin wanted to take the opportunity to kill some of the weaklings of those peak tribes, and at the same time expand the wolf pack's pure blood food reserves. For example, there is no human resistance within the Beizu Senluo ethnic group, and there are even a few obscure and inexplicable auras lingering in the surrounding sea area. If the snakes are really just a bunch of waste, why waste resources on cultivating them? The mysterious iceberg has also not been laid in the direction of Iceland and Bimud due to the rear battle line, and the battle with the existence in those two blessed lands is in full swing, especially the Prairie Wolf King among them. With the help of Su Lin's 7 drops of essence and blood, he has not improved much yet. He is only 1 step away from the world-destroying level. I am afraid that it will take a few days to truly retreat to the world-destroying level. Level 80. Was it that the Dragon Kingdom and the Science Alliance had gathered more than 1 million elite soldiers? And because they were dazzled by the failures during that period, they basically knew what kind of opponent they would face that time. Therefore, even though Su Lin hurriedly retracted his gaze towards Xiao Huixishi, the hesitation and determination in his eyes were not at all diminished. Why don't you have such wild ideas? In addition to this, there are 2 small blessed places. There are at least 8 weakest beings, and pure resources that are not enough to support the rapid growth of the wolf pack again. But this genius named Lu Haixing didn't know that it was Zhang Qingfeng who withstood most of the pressure in that battle. Even the wolves have millions of humans who have the same ancestry as the humans. Basically, except for the rat tide, snake group, and bear tribe. Not all of them have been promoted to the elite level of alien beasts. There is little difference between the situation of the Fox clan and the Wolf clan, and they are not even 10% lower than the monster level strength. One day he is an ancestral species, the The other day he is an ant. Looking at the group of members who are now growing up slowly under his command, Xiang Ke's wolf eyes did not even have a look of satisfaction flashing through them. At this time, all the members of the wolf pack in the southern mountains are preparing for preparations. The strength of the members of the wolf pack, who have received small-scale rewards next time, is also increasing rapidly. I haven't really set my sights on competing for world dominance and seeking transcendence. It means that they have the same combat power as the Indian snakes, and at most they can be defeated in a real small-scale battlefield. I looked at it quietly for a long time, and then a trace of hesitation flashed in my eyes, but it's still enough. Otherwise, the gap between world-destroying level combat power and the weakest existence is like a chasm. Me, who has reached the peak strength of level 52. The reason why he can improve his strength so little in such a short period of time is because Selen's essence and blood power is too small, and also because his growth potential is too terrifying. At this time, with this thought, Vincent also ordered more than 500,000 human elites under his command to immediately strengthen their defensive positions. At the same time, countless micro-drones also brought a message to the southern mountains. The news in the micro-drone was that under the blessed land of Kirov Prefecture, a ethnic destiny stone left behind by the ethnic group in a certain era was discovered, as well as the power of destiny that had spilled into golden magma underground. In addition, there are several powerful beings whose recovery failed, and they have also turned into massive amounts of divine matter. Vincent could imagine how much uproar this news would cause once it was leaked. But this is false news. A false news that attracts all ethnic groups and forces. At this time, Vincent's eyes were full of determination. Since the Wolf King decided to lure out all the big fish hiding in the dark, he might as well let these false news stir up the storm even more violently. As for whether he could deceive those ancient powerful beings, Vincent didn't know, but he believed that it would definitely make all the forces unable to help but find out. So when countless drones flew out of Kirov Oblast, they were intercepted by spies from various ethnic groups and forces within a few hours. The content of the news has once again brought Kirov Oblast to the forefront. The Theological Alliance, Senluo ethnic group, Dragon Kingdom and Science Alliance allied forces are also increasing their efforts towards Kirov State. After the Holy Spirit learned this news, he originally planned to kill some servants of the Theological Union to recover along the way, but he gave up this plan and went straight to Kirov Oblast. Such a move also seems to mean that there seems to be something extremely important underground in Kirov State. Otherwise, how could the Holy Spirit, who once stationed in Kirov State, be so urgent? Therefore, various ethnic groups and forces sent more forces to Kirov Oblast. The entire western part of Dalu, which was in chaos, was attracted by the blessed land of Kirov Prefecture for a while. A mere 2,000 to 3,000 kilometers away, the Holy Spirit, the most powerful being, returned quickly. Even without the laws of space and the world's fastest speed, it still only took less than half an hour to arrive. Soon, an unimaginable and terrifying war broke out in the area where the human part of the Kirov region wolf pack was located, and the Holy Spirit. Yes, it's a war. If it is said that the Indian snake group has made the whole world realize that relying on the power of the group, it can also hunt the most powerful existence. So the more than 500,000 humans under Vincent's command, with the help of fate, gathered in the icy star formation, which also opened the prelude to the future ethnic war, because even the most powerful existence could not break through the icy star formation gathered by more than 500,000 humans. The Holy Spirit with unparalleled physique is in human form, with bulging muscles all over his body, driving the unstoppable golden rule. The rules of gold are not as mysterious as the rules of space, and cannot separate everything and move instantly, but it is also unparalleled in its sharpness, and its lethality is unparalleled. The strength of the Holy Spirit's body is also because at the time of recovery, it is a body reshaped with the rules of gold and the source of divinity. Now, the Holy Spirit punched the icy star array, and more than 500,000 humans who had been blessed with luck flashed bright fluorescence, freezing the power of the fist. Boom! Accompanied by a huge roar, this punch seemed to hit the majestic and motionless glacier. The Holy Spirit, who was more than 800 meters tall, looked at such a large formation with an unimaginable light in his golden eyes. But there is no surprise in this divine light. As a resurrected and powerful being, the Holy Spirit has naturally fought against overlord-level forces in the Zhang dynasty. When fortunes gather together, especially after the later civilizations are established, the era when they can dominate the world with personal force will be completely past. Just like today, even if these are more than 500,000 demonized humans, the Holy Spirit will not look at them. But once more than 500,000 humans are connected by the fortune circle and become one, even he can't break it apart for a while. Just like the power of 500,000 ants, if they are tied into a line, they can be enough to compete with tigers, leopards and wolves. But what the Holy Spirit didn't expect was that the wolf pack, a force created by the ancestral species of this generation, could develop the fortune array in a short period of time just like the Indian snake pack. Roar! This made the Holy Spirit, who could not break through the icy star array, roar with rage again. The terrifying howl was like the scream of a ghost from the 9 nether hells. It was so heart-wrenching that it also shook the area within a radius of 200 to 300 miles of Kirov Prefecture to tremble violently. The Holy Spirit was unwilling to give in, and the rich golden rules all over his body showed up again, mobilizing the source of divinity and the power of rules without hesitation. Even though he has been fighting bloody battles with Da, who is top commander, for more than a month, and has consumed too much energy, he is still forcibly activating his peak combat power at this moment because there is something underground in Kirov state that it simply cannot give up. That is the source of spiritual will and divinity that has not yet been revived by the other gods of the Orthodox Church. These beings are all comrades and compatriots who once brokered Yuan Zhong and worked with him to create a hegemonic force and compete for hegemony in the world. It's just that in the endless years, the source of their spiritual will and divinity has passed too much, so they can't be revived. Even in order to help the Holy Spirit resuscitate, the other most powerful beings gave it most of the divine substances to absorb and reshape their bodies. So there is no other way, just abandon them and retreat directly. Walk amidst the roaring roar. The Holy Spirit also activated his own amplification talent, trying to break through the icy star formation gathered by the wolves and humans. As the Holy Spirit forcibly mobilized its peak combat power, the stern golden rule also began to evolve into a huge golden blade. This is clearly a killing technique evolved by the Holy Spirit. Like the original headless ice monster, it is formed by using the power of its own rules. The sharp energy brought out by it is enough to make species of the same level retreat. Due to the forced activation of the peak state, blood could not help but flow from the corners of Holy Spirit's mouth. This golden blade, every time it is larger, makes the world shake. Even before the blade made any movement, there were traces of black cracks appearing around it. Kill. The state of the Holy Spirit has dropped to a dangerous level, but the killing intent in those golden eyes is still as hot as fire. After gathering the golden blades, they slash directly towards Kirov Oblast. The huge golden blade is thousands of feet long. This blade can even cut down the most powerful beings, but the Holy Spirit doesn't believe that it can't break through the fortune formation formed by a mere a million ants. As long as he breaks through the icy star array, he can take away the divine material, spiritual will and incomplete spirituality underground in Kirov state, and escape thousands of miles away. Because the state of the Holy Spirit, due to many fierce battles, has indeed reached an extremely bad point, he can no longer continue to compete for hegemony in the western part of Daluo. But as long as he and the other Orthodox gods retain hope of recovery, they will still be able to roar proudly in the world in the future. However, as a tyrannical cold rule flashed in the dark, all the Holy Spirit's ideas were destined to fail. Click, click, accompanied by the sound of freezing, the golden blade was directly blocked by ice without even falling. This caused the Holy Spirit's golden eyes to suddenly glow, and then after noticing something, a look of fear and panic burst out, because what it sensed was not one, but several ancestral auras that were not inferior to it at all, or even surpassed it. Just when the Holy Spirit began to crazily activate the rules of gold and the source of divinity again, trying to protect him around him, it was too late. The ultimate cold rule had also rushed to his side and frozen him directly. At the same time, all the surrounding spies who were still exploring the battlefield were frozen. In a void, the ice crystal goddess, who was still in the hidden talent category, looked in all directions again after suppressing the species that might cause news to leak here. There was a flash of light in those beautiful ice crystal eyes. Since the little wolf cub in the southern mountain range wants to set up a trap to attract all the forces competing for hegemony in the west of Dahui, why doesn't she want to? The ice crystal goddess suddenly plans to take advantage of White Wolf's game and continue to act, completely attracting all the species and forces in the western part of Daluo. In addition, with the recovery during this period, the strength of the ice crystal goddess has become more and more powerful. She can freeze the Holy Spirit with just one clone, which is enough to see how terrifying she is. Even if the state of the Holy Spirit is severely depleted, even if the rules of gold and the source of divinity are less than 1 in 10, the ability to easily freeze its killing move and true body also means that its clone is no less powerful than a truly powerful being. Coupled with the several mysterious auras behind her, it can be said that the ice crystal goddess has enough strength to stir up the storm in the sky. However, the ice crystal goddess only came here for the pure resources in the western part of Dahui. As for these two blessed places, even if she wanted them, they were 2 to 30,000 miles away from the mysterious iceberg, and were indeed beyond her reach. Unless the wolves occupying nearly 40 million square kilometers in the northern cold zone are wiped out, it will not be able to eat at all. So she had already dispersed some of the ice crystal microorganisms, and flew to the wolves in the southern mountains. It's up to her to help with the game here, but afterwards, the two blessed places belong to the wolves, and the pure resources belong to her. And at this time, it was not just the ice crystal goddess and Selene who were planning, among them, the soul-eating demon, who had long left a vague spiritual mark in Kirov region, opened his eyes again after feeling the ice crystal goddess, and several mysterious auras, and a terrifying light burst out from his eyes. At the same time, the soul-eating demon's vast spiritual soul power also transformed into several spiritual butterflies, and flew out from the ground, spreading messages in all directions. It was quick, it didn't take hours. The speedy Golden Eagle led the Theological Alliance's millions of troops in northern Xinjiang and marched northward. Several of the most powerful beings in the Beizu Senluo ethnic group also learned the news, but on the contrary, they did not show any fear. Instead, they pressed all the more than 5 million soldiers of the Senluo ethnic group and headed towards Kirov Oblast. Because it's not just Selene and the ice crystal goddess who are plotting. None of the most powerful beings in this world, whether they are current or revived in other eras, are simple characters. Do you really think that they will only rely on themselves and the ethnic group's strength to fight hard? The soul-eating demon was also fishing. He originally wanted to wait for the humans of Dahu and the two blessed places to fight to the death, and then reap the benefits of the fisherman, but he never expected that the chaos would reach this level by mistake. What's more, I didn't expect that in Kirov Oblast, there would be unimaginable big fish appearing in the dark. The ice crystal goddess and several obscure auras behind her, a giant of this level. The fish were beyond the range that the soul-eating demon could catch, so quickly spread the news to the Theological Alliance and the Beizu Senluo ethnic group. It wants to stir up the situation in western Dalu into even more chaos. And the Theological Alliance and the Beizu Senluo clan, are they fools? No one is a fool, and all powerful beings have their own plans. With increasing pressure time and time again, more and more forces are flocking to the blessed land of Kirov region. The combined forces of the Dragon Kingdom and the Science Alliance soon tracked the Theological Alliance and the Senluo ethnic group behind them, and immediately sent their troops towards Kirov Oblast. As for what happened in Kirov Oblast, they don't know. Perhaps the gathering of so many existences means that something big is definitely happening in Kirov state. In addition, even the most powerful existence in another blessed land, after learning that all forces were rushing towards Kirov Oblast, also led the out-of-control Supreme Commander of Dahui to follow him. Because the news coming out there, whether true or false, is enough to shake the hearts of many ethnic groups and forces. In particular, the Holy Spirit's almost crazy attack on Kirov state made them all more certain that there was definitely something unimaginable beneath this blessed land. For a time, Kirov Oblast became the focus of the audience. The wolves and humans stationed in it have also become the target of public criticism. A few days later, news spread that Kirov Oblast was hiding the secret of transcendence. The water was stirred to an unimaginable level of confusion. Countless forces want to add fuel to the flames. Since the wolves dare to release false news to catch fish, let them see the fish they caught. Can they afford it? The secret of transcendence. This kind of news, coupled with the situation in the western part of Daluo, led to the collapse of the earth. So for a while, many forces even half believed it, and sent many powerful beings to come. The power in the entire western Dalu area once again increased. As time went by and rumors fermented, the western area of Dalu soon had the same grandeur as when the Indian snakes were promoted to civilization. Almost all the most powerful beings and forces in the world are staring at this place with eager eyes, especially those resurrected supreme beings. They are not as surging vitality as the current species. They are just trying to survive. Every time they move, they consume a lot of status. Therefore, once many powerful beings set out, they have no intention of returning empty-handed, even if the rumors here are false. The alien beast with surging essence and pure flesh and blood is definitely true. Boom, boom, boom. During this period, huge sonic booms and muffled sounds were heard from time to time in the western sky above Daluo, or the vibrations of the power of rules. All in all, the battle for hegemony in the western part of Dalu has completely gotten out of control at this stage. It is simply not the place where anyone can plan and control it anymore. Even the ice crystal goddess hidden in the void somewhere in the Kirov prefecture, feeling the powerful aura lurking around her, her ice crystal eyes lost the lightness of before, bringing out a sense of solemnity. After all, she is just a clone, and even the existences with several obscure auras behind her are also the most powerful clones among the other icebergs. It wouldn't be a problem to kill 3 or 4 powerful beings, with serious state depletion like the Holy Spirit. But now, the tyrannical auras around them have definitely reached double digits, and they have begun to have the same grand scene as when the bloodthirsty python was promoted to the snake civilization. However, what makes the ice crystal goddess curious is that such a situation makes her feel endless pressure, but the humans below still respond indifferently, especially the human leader wearing a huge mecha. This human commander is clearly Vincent. Vincent was not nervous at all, because when he entered the western part of Daluo, he knew what he was facing. But this world is always fair. How big the risk is, how big the reward will be. As the first marcher, Vincent represents endless risks, but his military achievements are bound to be beyond the reach of the rest of the wolf pack. If this battle really succeeds in helping the Wolf King attract the forces in the west of Daluo, then he will definitely be the well-deserved first contributor to this battle. In the future, he will replace Sander and become the supreme commander of the human race. It is very possible to even jump up and become the second Wolf King. As for whether he will die in battle, in such a dark era, Vincent can only do his best and obey fate. He is not a strong person standing at the top like the Ice Crystal Goddess and the Wolf King, nor is he the leader of the group. What he can do is to be the best within his scope. Therefore, Vincent has a good attitude. Even the peripheral reconnaissance teams and drones have already detected the auras of countless powerful beings. They have also detected the Senluo ethnic group and the Theological Alliance. Together, the army of nearly 10 million has already been stationed more than 200 miles away. Vincent didn't have any panic. He believed that the Wolf King did not let him die in vain. In the past few days, Vincent has asked the humans under his command to strengthen the defenses here. At the same time, he has also released countless true or false news to ask for help from the Wolf King. The most important thing is that Vincent also wants his confidant Walker to escape from Kirov State and send messages to the more than 200,000 hidden human elites. As long as a war breaks out here, more than 200,000 human elites will go straight to the Alford land, on the northern front line of the Theological Alliance, and then attack near the Bezu front line. Vincent knew that the power under his command was far from enough to compete with so many monsters, but to sneak attack on a frontier that is no longer heavily defended, I believe these 200,000 humans can do it, because it is the strongest force under his command. Every human being has elite level strength, and carries countless top-notch technological weapons. 3 ultimate meshes, 2 killing fighters are all there, as well as more than 50 space rule ballistic missiles. Without the presence of the strongest and heavily guarded borders, it would be difficult to stop this elite force. But Vincent doesn't know where this elite can go, and to what extent it can disrupt the frontier logistics of the Theological Alliance and the Senluo ethnic group. Anyway, he tried his best and laid out his plans. Even if he lost, what could he do if he only had the ultimate king-level combat power? He is not the Wolf King, and he does not have the invincible fighting power that can really turn things around and shock the world. And at this time in the chaos in western Huizhou is unimaginable, and when the strongest presences and forces of all parties are intertwined, in the southern mountains of the Demon Realm Divine Continent, Su Lin, who has a wolf body of more than 200 meters, stands tall on the destiny stone of the ethnic group. In the pair of light blue wolf eyes, looking towards the west of Daluo, there was a profound expression flashing through. No doubt, during this time, Su Lin received countless messages from the fox and bird clans that had been spread out. The 30,000 divine servants of the Theological Alliance, the fast golden eagles and millions of troops marched north, the more than 5 million troops of the Senluo tribe, the Holy Spirit, the supreme commander of demonization, and another blessed land with the rules of wood and the rule of water, the supreme existence of rules and so on. It can be said that during this period, news was sent back every day. What was conveyed in the message was that almost all the forces were gathering towards Kirov Oblast. This made Su Lin, who had originally wanted to catch the Theological Alliance and the Senluo ethnic group, couldn't help but smack his lips. So many forces have reached the point where it is difficult for the wolves to swallow them. As for the power of the Ice Crystal Goddess, and the several mysterious auras under her command, Su Lin had actually included them in this plan when the war just started. After all, the Ice Goddess Avatar and several mysterious auras traveled from the far north across the Arctic icefield to the west of Dahui. Do you really think Su Lin doesn't know about it? Do you really think that the clone Su Lin left behind was just a decoration? Su Lin's clone was made up of 5 tyrannical forces. Its combat power was on par with that of the Ice Crystal Goddess clone. So when the Ice Crystal Goddess and several obscure auras crossed over, they were already noticed. Just because there is an alliance between the two parties, which is related to the lives of more than 10 powerful beasts in the land of adventure. Even if Su Lin learns that the ice crystal goddess is heading to the west of Dafu, he doesn't care as long as it doesn't disrupt the grand strategy of him and his wolves. Because the far north and the western part of Dahu are too far apart, Su Lin believed that the ice crystal goddess would not be stupid enough to create two large blessed places. As for some pure blood food resources, Su Lin could share them with her, but no matter what, they never expected that the situation in the west of Daluo would be so chaotic that even if they were in alliance, it would be a bit difficult. There are more than 5 million Senluo ethnic groups, millions of theological alliance troops, and more than 7 million elite human teams, from Dragon Kingdom and Science Alliance. These forces are extremely powerful. Perhaps the most powerful beings cannot be left behind, but it is absolutely impossible for the most powerful beings to helplessly reach them. These are all overlord-level forces that are not far from the west of Daluo and gather good fortune. Even excluding the power of these ethnic groups, the existence of the strongest existence alone is more than what can be seen on the surface. The Holy Spirit, who has been attacking the seal of the ice crystal goddess, the fast golden eagle coming out from the northern border of the Theological Alliance, the most powerful being in another blessed land who controls the power of dual rules, the out-of-control supreme commander of Dahui, and the unseen members of the Senluo ethnic group, several mysterious auras, the soul-eating demon that was rumored to have been severely injured, but lost its trace, the clone of the White Elephant King from South Africa, a red stream of light with the rules of fire, from Nanjing, etc. With the gathering of these powerful beings, the western part of Daluo was truly turbulent for a while. A battle for hegemony in the western region of Daluo attracted the strongest beings from all over the world to swarm together. One can imagine the situation in the west of Daluo. In addition to the situation set by himself and the ice crystal goddess, there is definitely a dark hand hidden in the dark, fueling the fire. The soul-eating demon, or the humanoid light and shadow of the Theological Alliance. At this time, Su Lin's pair of light blue wolf eyes also flashed with a deep and thoughtful look. Because no matter which force it is, which powerful being is adding fuel to the flames, they are destined to have what they want. But regardless of the forces and powerful beings behind this, what their intentions are, since they have laid out the plan, the wolves are determined in this situation. Strength is the foundation of everything. Su Lin also wants to see which force or strongest existence in the world wants to lead him, and the wolves in the northern cold zone, soon followed by a long roar. All the members of the wolf pack, who had been preparing for war for more than 2 months, began to gather together amidst the roar of the Wolf King. A series of powerful and huge figures also gathered under the Destiny Stone of the ethnic group again. This spacious venue is clearly a review venue created by Sander and his fellow human beings. It stretches for more than 100 miles. During normal inspections, this area can be occupied by millions of strange beasts. When there is no review, this is the venue for discussions and drills between the various parts of the wolf pack. It can be said that the Nanjing Mountains, as the most advanced fortress in the world, truly achieves the ultimate in everything. It is a fortress that integrates pure energy, exotic flowers and plants, captive prey, growing grains, various bunkers, internal and external defenses, underground reserves, etc. Such a fortress can support tens of millions of species in the wolf headquarters. And after the transformation of the power of fortune, the pure energy contained in the entire southern mountain range has become even more surging. With such a blessed land and good luck, the strength of the various beasts in the wolf pack is improving almost every period of time. Now, hearing the roar of the Wolf King, the strange beasts that had already decided on the list of expeditions were rushing towards here quickly with the sound of friction with the air. The various units of the wolf pack, which had been preparing for war for a long time, all headed towards the review venue under the pack's Destiny Stone at extremely fast speeds. After hearing the Wolf King's roar, it only took less than 2 hours for tens of millions of elite wolves to appear densely on this review site that stretched for hundreds of miles. All the elite members of the wolf pack were consciously divided into different square formations, waiting for the Wolf King's review. And without receiving a signal from the Wolf King, all members stood in place, motionless, as if they were a lifelike statue. Just like a statue, only the complex breathing sounds of tens of millions of species, gathered together, sounded one after another. Su Lin, who was standing at the peak of the Destiny Stone of the group, glanced at the elite wolves below with satisfaction. There is no doubt that after undergoing internal reforms and rectification, not only the strength of each alien beast has been greatly improved, but both the military appearance and military discipline have also undergone earth-shaking changes. All parts of the wolf pack have gradually moved towards uniformity and are moving closer to each other. You must know that they are not born to live and grow up under a series of rules. Instead, they were fighting for the beasts that came out of the killing and plundering. Being able to suppress the wildness of the wolf pack to such an extent means that the wolf pack's military discipline has reached the pinnacle of the world's ethnic groups. And how hard you suppress it, how violent it will be when you really let it go. Therefore, suppressing the wild nature of wolves in daily life is definitely not to make them lose their wildness, but to allow them to unleash more ferocious combat power on truly bloody battlefields. As Su Lin glanced, the eyes of the top beasts of each wolf pack were filled with excitement and boiling, fighting spirit, because after the wolves unified this area of nearly 40 million square kilometers, many alien beasts have not encountered any too fierce conquests. Even when the southbound wolves were eliminated last time, after experiencing bloody battles in two blessed lands in Mongolia, the northbound wolves could be said to have gained great military exploits by following Su Lin. As for the snake group, the charge division, the bear tribe, the giant sheep tribe, the recently awakened guards division, etc., it can be said that they have achieved nothing during this period. And now the Wolf King has gathered his troops and is starting another conquest. Naturally, all tribes of wolves and strange beasts were inexplicably excited. Even the wolves, foxes, tigers, etc., who had gained a lot of military exploits and pure blood food during the last expedition to Mongolia, all the strange beasts had this look in their eyes. The fighting spirit burned like a fierce fire, because in the reformed wolf pack, everything is based on strength and military exploits. Who would dislike having too many military exploits? During this time, they had also heard some rumors about the battlefield in the west of Daluo, but all the strange beasts were not afraid at all. After all, this time they are following the Wolf King on the expedition. In their hearts, the Wolf King is an invincible god, a king who frightens the world. All opponents of the Wolf King fell on the road of conquest without exception. Su Lin's prestige in the hearts of all wolves and other beasts has reached an unimaginable level. At this time, in addition to the tens of thousands of elite members who gathered, the top beings of each department in the wolf pack were also ranked in front of each square array. During this period, relying on the essence and blood of the Wolf King, the Steppe Wolf King, who had completely broken through level 60 and stepped onto the threshold of the world-destroying level, stood majestically in front of the male wolf and the female wolf. Behind it are more than 1,000 personal followers under its command. The Fire Wolf and Water Wolf have also reached the half-step world-destroying level. One-Eyed Wolf, Fox Wolf, Blue-Eyed Wolf, Wind Wolf, Double-Eyed Wolf, Scarred Wolf, Long-Tailed Wolf, Shadow Wolf, etc., are also standing on both sides, one after another. Together, the number of male wolves and female wolves is nearly 1 million, and the momentum is extremely majestic. Each of the wolves has grown to a height of 14 or 5 meters, and is more powerful than a giant elephant. The wolves are unruly, ferocious, agile, cunning, and work seamlessly together. They are the team established by the wolf pack. Nearly 1 million wolves stand here, and even the strongest black demon ferret can only feel scared with the power rising from all over their bodies. There is no need to gather luck at all. These wolves can easily tear them into pieces. If fortunes come together, then the power that the male wolf and the female wolf can exert will be more than 10 times stronger than the human elites under Vincent's command. After all, the strength of a single wolf clan far exceeds that of humans, and 20% of them have been promoted to the monster level. In addition to the wolf clan, which has always been at the forefront of the battle, the power of the fox clan is also extremely amazing. The number of the fox tribe, which is more than 800,000, is not inferior to that of the wolf tribe. Even the fox tribe is only 2 or 3 meters in size, which is considered small and exquisite in this era of giant beasts, but the aura and power of each fox clan are also extremely powerful. Moreover, the color of the fur on the fox tribe changes with the color of the surrounding environment, and their breath is also invisible. They are naturally the best choice for spies. Every fox, even if it is not an Arctic silver fox, has the ability to induce hallucinations in other beasts of the same level. Such a clan has always been synonymous with mystery. It's impossible to measure, impossible to speculate, and we don't know what earth-shattering effects their clan can have when they are in a real state of life and death. The newly promoted supreme commander of the fox tribe, the Charming Fox, stood quietly on the head of the huge bull of the world-destroying steppe buffalo king under his command, just like the red tail standing on the head of the invincible tiger. Behind him were the Sand Fox, Flying Fox. There are many powerful fox clansmen such as Ginging Fox, Hidden Fox, Ice Fox, Blue-Eyed Fox, and Wine Fox. Except for the Wolf tribe and Fox tribe, The other ministries have more than 3 million elite humans, equipped with top-notch technological weapons, and their military appearance is the neatest. Lewis, wearing a 2.0 perfect level mecha, also stands calmly in front, silent. There are more than 4 million elite birds rising in the air. At the front is Arctic Yanu, who has stepped into the half-step world-destroying level, and his newly awakened spiritual soul power is also growing at an extremely fast rate. I am afraid that after growing up for a period of time, with its ferocious combat power, original talent and newly awakened secret skills, Arctic Tern will also become a monster that has reached the world-destroying level, and can fight across levels. Behind him were a group of strongmen from the Flying Bird clan, including Hummingbird, Poisonous Dove, Gale Demon Eagle, War Sparrow, Second Generation Fierce Falcon, Red-Headed Man, etc. Many of them also took advantage of the transformation blood food they were rewarded last time, reaching the half-step world-destroying level. There were also more than 300,000 assault troops wearing special meshes. But standing at the front, in addition to the prairie bison, there was also a giant bull with a huge body and a gilded flesh. This giant gold-plated bull has defeated the prairie bison 3 times. It only needs enough military exploits to replace it. In addition, there are more than 700,000 giant sheep tribe, all wearing heavy meshes. The sharp horns of the more than 700,000 giant sheep tribe are far less sharp than the charge ones, so they have replaced the bear tribe and been built into a pack of wolves. The heavy tank infantry of the second line, the giant sheep king, is the strongest. It was once as strong as the steppe wolf king, and has grown to level 56. It is also an extremely powerful existence in the half-step world-destroying level. In addition, there are more than 1 million snakes entwined in the giant sheep clan's thick meshes. They will complement each other and form a coordinated and powerful attack force. Silver-ringed vipers and colorful pythons are also entrenched in the giant sheep king, especially the venom from the sharp fangs of the colorful pythons, which is enough to make the world-destroying city lose its soul. In addition to them, the rest of the first guards, second guards, third guards, and the Mecha Tiger clan will follow this operation. They will be the 4 sharp blades directly under Su Lin's command. Among them, in the depths of the Arctic ice sheet, all the tyrannical king beasts that were originally collected were integrated into the 3rd bodyguard division, and 4 more bodyguard brigades were expanded, consisting of the Bloody Bear, the Grey Eagle Bird, and the new Polar Ice Worm King, commanded by the Black Lone Wolf. This brought the number of the 3 personal guards to 12 personal guard brigades, and tens of thousands of monster-level beasts were again drawn from other ethnic groups and merged into them. So far, this is the army of wolves that will follow Su Lin on his expedition this time. It can be said that almost all the elite forces of the wolf pack are here, and many of the top beasts of the wolf pack are also here. There are hundreds of them who can be named. It can also be seen from this that Su Lin's determination lies in the western part of Daluo. In this battle, the best of the wolf pack is here. He wanted to see which force was fishing for the wolves, unless it is the Theological Alliance and the Senluo clan, who will completely exhaust themselves regardless of the situation. Otherwise, with the wolves and the ice crystal goddess joining forces, even Daluo Shishi, which has gathered most of the world's top forces, will still be the most powerful one. Especially during this period of time, Su Lin also created 3 clones. But these clones did not have the source of life injected into them. But as Su Lin's strength continues to increase, even if the clone has not been injected with the source of life, there is no one under the ancestral species who can beat him. In addition, these 3 clones also master the rules of space and the rules of ice. Even the ancestral species can contend for a moment. So even if the western part of Dahui is a dragon's pond and a tiger's den, Su Lin still has to try to see if he can subdue the dragon and subdue the tiger. After reviewing for a while, he let out a long breath, followed by an earth-shattering wolf howl, and all the members of the originally silent wolf pack immediately began to roar along with the roar of the mountain and the tsunami. The neighing of tens of millions of elite wolves also shook the entire southern mountains, causing the exotic flowers and trees to tremble violently. Boom. Soon, the 3 clones that Su Lin had condensed turned into 3 rays of light and shadow, standing directly behind him. The Black Demon Martin, who has reached the peak of level 62, is also standing beside the Wolf King, with a pair of dark eyes showing a stern look. Next, after the troops were completely gathered, Su Lin also directly asked V to announce the battlefield rewards and punishments of the wolves. The rewards and punishments this time are almost the same as the last time. The wolves captured the Mongolian Blessed Land and Mount Ulmo. As always, the rewards were raised to the extreme. At the same time, it is also reiterated once again that it is strictly prohibited to seize pure blood, food and military exploits on the battlefield. Violators will be killed without mercy. As soon as this command came out, the entire wolf pack members were in awe. But soon the flames burning in the eyes of most members became even hotter, because there is no doubt that with such a command, they will be able to fight even more risklessly, and they will no longer have to worry about the food and military achievements they have exhausted will be usurped by other beasts. Soon, with the tens of thousands of wolf troops, the momentum rose to a peak, and all the elites of the wolf pack stepped out of the southern mountains one after another with a huge wolf howl. Nighthawk and Little Gray, two elite personal guards, serve as the vanguard, moving ahead of the rest of the wolf pack. The Fox clan and the Bird clan once again dispatched a group of elite spies to follow the 1st and 2nd Guards divisions to transmit all news from the battlefield back to the majority of the wolf pack in real time. As for the rest of the wolf pack, they joined forces and headed straight to Kirov Oblast in the west of Dalu. All forces in the world have come to join in the fun, so how can the wolves not get rid of the trap set by the wolves? The hand that is secretly adding fuel to the flames thinks that the wolves cannot swallow these forces. Can you swallow it? Just wait and see. He didn't believe that these scattered forces really dared to form a rope and fight to the death with the wolves. The strength on the surface can only represent the strength on the surface after all. The real victory or defeat comes from the bloody storm. Besides, do you really think I only have this few cards in my hand? At this time, as all the elite wolves left the southern mountains, Su Lin's wolf eyes became increasingly murderous. At this time, as the elite wolf army set off, only the rat tide, some humans, some bird tribes, bear tribes and other strange plants were left in the southern mountains. In addition, the secret power also has Su Lin's clones that are comparable to the ancestral species, and hundreds of space-regulated ballistic missiles. After the fate of the ethnic group gathered together, these forces, combined with the technological weapons of the southern mountains, were enough to protect the southern mountains. Sander, who was left behind, looked at the wolf army moving away, with a solemn look in his eyes. As the senior alpha wolf in the wolf pack, he has access to a lot of information, so he naturally knows the news coming back from the outside world these days. There are 2 digits of powerful beings gathered in the western part of Dalu, as well as the Theological Alliance, the Science Alliance, the Dragon Kingdom, the Sinluo ethnic group, the Dalu humans, etc. Facing so many forces, to be honest, Sander, if you have a bad temper, you will stand still. Because Sander is extremely stable and doesn't like to take risks, he is used to relying on development, waiting for the strength of the wolf pack to reach a certain peak, and then engulfing the world with unstoppable momentum. But Sander forgot that there is also a group of monsters in this world that have been promoted to civilization and are also developing in seclusion. After being promoted to civilization, the power of fortune in the blessed land will be enhanced several times, and the speed of advancement of group members will also be several times faster. Therefore, if the wolves only rely on development, they will definitely fall behind others. However, Sander is sincerely considering the wolves and the Wolf King. You must know that this time the Wolf King has almost brought out all the elites of the southern mountains. Although after establishing the destiny of the group, the base camp can still rely on the luck of the group. Impregnable, but if so many elite wolves are lost in Siberia, then the wolves will not just break 1 or 2 arms, but will be severely damaged. At that time, the wolves will truly lose their ability to expand outward. At this time, Sander looked at the wolf pack for a long time, standing there without making any sound. The rest of the followers and the rat tide, the bird tribe, the bear tribe and other strange beasts standing behind Sander also remained silent. After all, after the Wolf King left, Sander's status was already the highest in the southern mountains, and he was also the garrison commander designated by the Wolf King, so no one dared to disturb him without sense. While Sander was standing, time also passed quietly. He stood from noon to evening. However, after standing there until dusk, Sander's eyes suddenly lit up. He suddenly thought of something, and then his uneasiness and solemn expression gradually dissipated. Yes, how could the Wolf King lead all the elite wolves into the western part of Dalu without any assurance? The Wolf King also has a trump card that no one can imagine. If Sander hadn't been the first human to follow the Wolf King, he wouldn't have thought of it. Flashing Star, this wolf secret agent who has used Molder to sneak into the upper echelons of humanity in Dalu, is also the first Arctic silver fox who entered human society from the wolf pack with Sander. Even Sander, who came to the auction with Flashing Star in person, had almost forgotten the chess piece of the wolf pack, so there would definitely be no way that any powerful being or force could guess it. This is a strange card that will win by surprise. As for how the Wolf King will use this card, Sander doesn't know. But when he thought of the Flashing Star card, Sander felt his vision suddenly brightened, and he even felt in his heart that the Wolf King might have some cards that he didn't know about. Flashing Star is just one of them. As for the matter of the Ice Crystal Goddess, it is a top secret among the wolves, and even Sander has no idea about it. Even about the mysterious Iceberg Alliance, Su Lin blocked the news at the place of adventure and never spread it. At this time, Sander, who came to his senses, once again regained his former stability and wisdom, and began to lead the high-level officials of the remaining wolf pack departments to inspect the southern mountains. At this time, in the last remaining strongest fortress in the far west of Daluo, there was a human being standing solemnly looking at the message handed to him. This human being is only over 3 meters tall and wears a cyan iron suit. Although he is not too tall, his overwhelming power is enough to intimidate all the new humans around him. His eyes were as bright as stars, and he wore 9 death blades made with the latest technology around his waist, which also had a trace of death rules attached to them. This human being is clearly Mold. With the number of 2 million humans, even without demonization and luck bonus, they were able to withstand the onslaught of the 2 blessed lands. Therefore, Mold's status has increased, and he has become the most prestigious existence among normal humans in Dalu, second only to Donaldson. Coupled with the fact that his spiritual and soul power has reached the ultimate king level, both personal force and prestige have reached an extreme. The remaining elite warriors of the more than 2 million humans under his command also obey his orders. Therefore, with more than 2 million soldiers, Mold's power and status can be imagined. But no one could have imagined that this Mold, who had great military exploits and was regarded as a hero, was actually a member of the wolf pack named Anzi. Hey! With a faint sound of fox chirping in the transparent air, Mold waved his hand to shield his followers, and then came to a secret room in the strongest fortress. Buzz! Ripples were set off in the space, and then the flashing star, which grew from more than 1 meter to nearly 3 meters, also appeared in the secret room. Flash Star is the Arctic silver fox born after Red Tail, and its growth potential is also excellent. And with Mold's identity, he can easily obtain many top pure resources among the humans in Dalu. Therefore, the growth rate of Shining Star is much faster than that of the top beasts in the wolf pack. It has grown to level 50, reaching the half-step world-destroying level, and has awakened the same talent as the Red Tail and Purple Lynx. Traceability. This talent can not only cut off the heaven and earth and return to the original, but it can also burn the source of life and condense it into a giant silver fox body. He also awakened a secret technique of the rules of life. Therefore, the true combat power of Flashing Star is extremely powerful. Even the world-destroying beasts can compete with it. At this time, Flashing Star's silver eyes looked at the message in Mold's hand, and a look of thought flashed across his eyes. The news is surprisingly about Kirov Oblast. The wolf pack has gathered more than 12 million troops and has left the southern mountain range, heading straight for the Kirov Oblast, which is the most chaotic. This news had already spread to all the forces in the west of Dalui the moment the wolves stepped out of the southern mountains. As the overlord of the northern cold zone, the wolf pack has enough qualifications to attract such great attention. In addition, Flashing Star also received the secret order from the Wolf King, mobilized all the forces at its control to march eastward to Kirov Oblast, and at the same time rushed to Kirov Oblast to restart the Hand of Death, targeted elimination of the incoming forces led by the Theological Alliance, Senluo ethnic group, etc. At this time, after spending several years in human society, Flashing Star already understood what intrigues meant. Looking at the Wolf King's secret order, he suddenly understood that he was the knife hidden in the dark. If he didn't move, the world would fall apart. The Hand of God, which was damaged by the soul-eating demon, was indeed restored by 1/3 through the combined efforts of Flash Star and Mold during this period, and was firmly held in his own hands. Except for reporting this to the Wolf King, no other force knew about it. Even Donaldson within Dalu believed that the Hand of God had been abandoned long ago. Otherwise, how could he have watched the battle that decided the human order of Dalu suffer such a disastrous defeat? Do you really think that all human beings are living bodhisattvas who would rather become demons themselves, make deals with the devil, or lose everything to protect the ecological environment? In addition, almost a year has passed since the world-destroying catastrophe. The blessed land, which has been infused with countless pure energy and mysterious power, has a strong recovery ability that has long been obvious to all. Even if it is completely destroyed in an instant, it will be restored in a very short time. So the Hand of God is also a strange card. In this mood, Flashing Star quickly glanced at Mold and asked him to lead the troops to seize power by force and control the entire strongest fortress soon. A few hours later, in the strongest remaining human fortress in the west of Daluo, there was a violent coup that made all surviving humans feel like a breeze blowing in their faces, and then it was over. Mold, who has reached the rank of 5-star general, mobilizes troops to besiege Commander Donaldson's mansion. The 6 ultimate mecha warriors from Commander Donaldson's mansion all came out, but they were killed by an unknown entity, hidden in the void using their spiritual power. After a night of siege and negotiation, until the moment of dawn, Donaldson used radar communication to announce to the strongest fortress and all remaining human forces outside Dahu that he would give up the military power of the commander-in-chief of Dahu to the 5-star General Mold. At this point, Mold not only has more than 2 million human elites, who only obey his orders, but also has 16 million demonized humans outside. Mold directly and loudly threatened to avenge the Supreme Commander and fight for the great humanity. More than 18 million large human forces rushed to Kirov Oblast. On the same day, at noon, the sun is high. The Hand of God was activated to restore a third, before the human forces of Dahu and the wolves in the southern mountains reached Kirov Oblast. More than 1,600 nuclear weapons soared into the sky from all over Daluo, heading straight for the places where various evil groups were stationed in Kirov Oblast. These more than 1,600 nuclear weapons are like 1,600 long dragons of brilliant white light, destined to shock all the forces and ethnic groups in the world. It will even frighten the remaining remnants of the Theological Alliance, the Senluo ethnic group, and the 2 blessed lands that have invaded Daluo West, as well as the other powerful beings, who have not yet been revealed. This is the 4th time that mankind has used nuclear weapons to cover bombs on a large scale, after the human forces in Wizu and the human forces in Dragon Kingdom. Even the bombing of more than 100 nuclear weapons by the human forces of the Dragon Kingdom was simply incomparable to those of Wizu and Dahui. More than 1,600 nuclear weapons, as well as hundreds of ballistic missiles, mixed with super fuel and divine rays, are heading towards Kirov Oblast. Donaldson, who had been deprived of power at this time, looked at the arcs of red light on the huge display screen in the conference room. His eyes with empty eyelashes also showed shock and heartache. Donaldson has been sitting at the top level of Dalu for such a long time, and he has already matured. In the past, because Mold refused to report it, and directly refused the Mongolian humans' request for help, there was some doubt about Mold's identity. Now that he has been seized of power, and after seeing the Arctic Silver Fox, Mold's identity is completely clear, the hidden wolf. But even Donaldson couldn't imagine that the wolves could bury a high-ranking figure like Mold for such a long time, and even secretly repair and master the Hand of God. With so many nuclear weapons capable of destroying the world and destroying the world, the destructive power brought by them would make even the most powerful beings and the evil group of monsters who have gathered their fortune change their colors. The wolves really played a big game of chess. In addition, dozens of nuclear weapons among them were still locked on the supreme command of Dahui. The wolves are not seeking revenge for Dahu as supreme commander, but want the supreme commander to die. This is true even for an out-of-control supreme commander. Because the supreme commander is not dead, how can the wolves legitimately dominate the western part of Daluo, and how can they bring all the remaining power and resources of Daluo back to the wolves? Therefore, Donaldson felt a little heartbroken and could hardly breathe, and there was also a glint in his eyes. After all, he has deep feelings for the Supreme Commander in his heart. The Supreme Commander has always been working hard for the sake of the Dalu humans, and even in the end, he wanted to find a way out for the Dalu humans by becoming a demon. But in the end, I never thought that it would end like this. At this time, Kirov Oblast. The sky above Kirov Oblast is sunny and cloudless, and it seems that the scene before the catastrophe has been restored. But the endless ruins and the remains of various steel industries are still telling what happened here. Among them, millions of troops from the Theological Union were stationed majestically in the south. A golden giant beast nearly a kilometer long spread its wings in the air and stared at the wolves and humans in Kirov Oblast. With its powerful senses, the speedy golden eagle has already noticed that there are several tyrannical auras hidden among the wolves and humans stationed in Kirov region. This kept it from daring to advance. Not only it, but the rest of the arriving tribes and the most powerful beings also didn't want to be the one who stood out, so they stationed and besieged the blessed land of Kirov state here. However, the siege has been going on for several days, and yesterday I even heard that the Arctic White Wolf led his more than 12 million elite men out of the southern mountains and headed straight for here. This made the speedy golden eagle's pair of golden brown eyes shine unparalleled, looking at the blessed land ahead, trying to see through the reality. As the same current ancestral species as the Arctic Wolf King, it does not believe that the Theological Alliance's intelligence system is wrong, let alone that the Arctic wolves still have several tyrannical auras that can make it feel troublesome. So I thought it might just be the Arctic White Wolf that left a few auras to scare them here. Just as the golden light of the golden eagle's wings flashed through the sky, He was about to flap his wings and rely on his extreme speed to explore the virtual reality of the blessed land ahead. At this moment, its incomparable senses suddenly felt something. Suddenly it raised its head and looked higher into the sky. With its eyesight, it could clearly see that thousands of miles away, countless white lights were heading straight here at dozens of times the speed of supersonic speed. When he saw clearly what it was, the speedy golden eagle's pair of dazzling golden eyes showed uncontrollable panic for the first time, along with a roaring cry. Even if the millions of Theological Alliance troops didn't know what was happening, they all started to move the fortune circle. The sky is filled with golden light flashing, but millions of troops, not all of whom are elites. How could they all gather together to form a fortune formation at once? However, those countless white lights thousands of miles away arrived above them in almost 30 or 40 seconds. Nuclear weapons carrying huge white sonic boom clouds crashed directly into the Theological Alliance army. Even though the speedy golden eagle entered a state of extreme violence in an instant, and even though the blood gold original power filled the sky, it still could not stop all the nuclear weapons. Boom, 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 one after another. Huge mushroom clouds and white lights that can blind human eyes appear one after another here. Tremendous sounds, violent explosions, sweeping shock waves, and nuclear radiation all over the sky were all happening here all at once. And it's not just a location for the Theological Union. The same is true for the more than 5 million Senluo ethnic group, and the Supreme Being, who regarded Dahu as Supreme Commander as a mad dog, and was preparing to lure him to attack the blessed land of Kirov Prefecture, was also bombarded by dozens of nuclear weapons. The other White Elephant King clones, Naming Red Streamer, etc. were also targeted, even including the allied forces of the Dragon Kingdom and the Science Alliance. Due to the close distance, even if they were not targeted, the rolling shock waves and nuclear radiation roared on them. The Dragon Kingdom has not yet developed the Fortune Array, so even if a single entity mobilizes the power of fortune, there are still many members, and they have never been able to withstand such a violent impact. In an instant, it turned into fly ash under the heat, energy and shock wave. At this moment, the entire vicinity of Kirov Prefecture seemed to have turned into a sea of fire in a world filled with rubble and dust. Even Vincent and others in Kirov region, although his eyes lit up, and he knew that it was the Wolf King who had started to take action, but like the humans in the Dragon Kingdom, he was also shocked. However, with the Fortune Array connected and the Blessed Land's defenses blocking their way, their situation was much better than that of the Dragon Kingdom and Science Alliance coalition forces. Among them, the Ice Crystal Goddess, who held up an ice crystal shield, looked at the sea of fire and explosions, and there was a hint of surprise in her cold ice crystal eyes. It can be seen that the alliance with White Wolf this time is absolutely correct. Even she had never thought of the little wolf cubs' backup plan at the same time. Selin, who was staying more than 1,000 miles away from Kirov Oblast for a short time, felt the violent vibrations on the ground. His huge and cool serious wings were instantly displayed, and he jumped into the sky. After seeing the sea of fire and nuclear explosion clouds appearing in the sky, I knew that the time I had been waiting for had arrived. Immediately afterwards, accompanied by a loud and long howling sound that swept hundreds of miles, more than 12 million elite wolves swarmed and headed straight for the Kirov Oblast, the center of the nuclear explosion. The war is about to begin. After more than 1,600 nuclear weapons and hundreds of divine substance missiles were hit here, it meant that the war that led all forces to Kirov Oblast had begun. Boom, boom, boom. There are more than 1,000 nuclear weapons, and they are nuclear weapons that have undergone several technological updates. You can imagine how powerful they are, and all of them are accurately tilted in the areas where various ethnic groups are stationed around the blessed land of Kirov Prefecture. The total area is only a few 100,000 square kilometers, carrying more than 1,000 nuclear weapons, as well as hundreds of divine substances and super fuel missiles. The power of such intensive bombing can be described as devastating. Facing such a nuclear explosion, even the barrier raised by the ancestral species such as the speedy golden eagle could not withstand it, and was blown open with gaps everywhere. These gaps were surging with violent shock waves, heat, nuclear radiation waves, etc., and many members of the Theological Alliance, who had not yet supported the Fortune Circle, were severely damaged. Puff. As more and more nuclear explosions roared on the blood golden barrier, even the speedy golden eagle, an ancestor of this generation, couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Yes, even the speedy golden eagle with its surging vitality can no longer bear it. It's just that the speedy golden eagle is a speedy golden eagle after all. With another roaring cry, the speedy golden eagle circulated its original power and the power of rules to its peak, transforming into a huge bright sun, hovering in front of the Theological Alliance army. In the sky above, all incoming nuclear weapons, energy waves, and radiation waves were quickly evaporated and vaporized. This is clearly the secret technique of the fast golden eagle. This secret technique is exactly the same as that of the invincible tiger, both of which are the 9 transformations of the blazing sun. This is the secret art of the Ziyang rules, and to a certain extent, it is no less than the secret art of the rules of space, time, and life and death. Moreover, the 9 transformations of the blazing sun of the fast golden eagle are obviously in the advanced stage, and they can evolve into the bright sun. The power of this bright sun is extremely powerful, and the tyrannical sun rules it exudes block and isolate everything in the sky. The feathers on the body of the speedy golden eagle have all turned into the ultimate blood red color. Several phoenix feathers on the top of its head are fluttering with the tyrannical energy flow. Its power makes all species feel fear and oppression. This is the speedy golden eagle that the ancestors planted back then. These nuclear weapons may be able to destroy the most powerful beings, in places such as the Kinling Mountains, in the northwest of China and the Americas, but it is simply impossible to destroy the most powerful beings like the speedy golden eagle. But even if they couldn't be destroyed, the most powerful beings who were targeted were still traumatized. After all, nuclear weapons are the most powerful technological weapons that humans have at their disposal, and they indeed have the power to destroy the world. The current ancestral species like the speedy golden eagle suffered trauma, and was forced to use secret techniques, not to mention the situation of the other strongest beings. On the other side of the blessed land of Kirov region, the Senluo ethnic group was also hit by oversaturation. At this time, there is also a bright golden power of destiny spreading, and golden magic arrays are taking shape and rising, competing against these nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons hit it hard, causing the golden fortune circle to shake violently. Even some new humans who were unprepared and just had a rough run at their fortunes were instantly turned into nothingness under the bombardment of this nuclear explosion. Yes, nothingness, with a burst of white light that could blind one's eyes. Each new human body disappeared without a trace. Soon some superficial fortune formations were shattered and cracks appeared. Nuclear radiation waves, shock waves, heat waves, etc. also followed the cracks into the fortune formations, causing many members of the Senluo ethnic group to suffer trauma again. And among the Senluo ethnic group, the most powerful being who has never shown up, and whose figure is hidden can no longer be hidden. A series of extremely powerful energy dragons, and rule dragons soared into the sky. No one would have thought that 3 of the 7 kings of hell would come to compete for hegemony in the western part of Dalu. You must know that when the snakes in India were promoted to civilization, they just lost a king of death, but this time, not only the king of death, but also the king of curse and the king of poison arrived, except for Lucifer, the legendary leader of the 7 kings of hell, who has never demonstrated the power of his rules. The rules of the other kings have all been demonstrated on the Beizu battlefield. They are the king of destruction, the king of time, the king of cause and effect, the king of death, the king of curse and the king of poison. At present, the 3 kings have been revealed, and the 3 of them have raised up a vast energy shield, which also blocked the nuclear weapons locked on the Senluo ethnic group. Both the Theological Alliance and the Senluo ethnic group have suffered considerable blows under such a saturated and intensive attack. But relatively speaking, the situation is better than that of the Dragon Kingdom and the Alliance of Science Alliance, the most powerful beings from other blessed lands, and the clones of the most powerful beings that have arrived. The allied forces of the Dragon Kingdom and the Science Alliance were the ones who suffered the most trauma. Without the fortune array, even if they were not targeted, they still killed millions of humans in a short period of time, and many were seriously injured. Among them, Lu Haixing, the strongest among the coalition forces, also supported the protective fluorescent barrier ever since he fought his way out of the evil Mandala Flower Sea and followed Jiang Qingfeng to pacify the blessed land of the northwest Kinling Mountains. He had always believed that his combat power was about to approach that so-called most powerful existence, but in the face of real life and death, he discovered that the gap between himself and the most powerful being was simply the difference between heaven and earth. The fluorescent barrier that he had supported to protect his body was like shredded paper in the face of a nuclear explosion, shattering in an instant. Even if he took it back and only protected himself, he would feel a dull pain as his internal organs were shaken by tyrannical shock waves and radiation waves. And the most powerful beings, such as the 7 kings of hell and the speedy golden eagle, can still stand tall even if they are forced to bear the nuclear explosion above the entire ethnic group. So at this moment, Lu Haixing deeply realized his self-righteousness. He is not even remotely different from these powerful beings under the supreme existence. Everyone is just an ant. The words Jiang Qingfeng whispered to him before the army set out were deeply imprinted in his heart at this time, but it was too late to understand. The human coalition forces are dying in droves, and even more are being severely damaged. Only a group of new humans, who are above the monster level, can barely protect themselves with the help of fate. Another group of clones of the most powerful beings, covered by precise hand of God nuclear weapons, also screamed one after another. The clone of the White Elephant King was locked and hit by dozens of nuclear weapons. Even with its incredible combat power, the fluorescence level on the clone's body was dimmed a bit. The stream of red fire coming from Manhwa, under the locked bombardment of nuclear weapons, made it even more clear that this seemed to be a trap set by the humans and wolves in Dalu, a tactic that was aimed at all the forces coming to the west of Dalu. So without stopping, the red fire streamer began to flee at an extremely fast speed. Because its power is in Nanmo, tens of thousands of miles away from here. Originally, I wanted to see what the so-called mystery of transcendence is. After all, it is also the ancestral species of the current generation. For the so-called detachment and hegemony, it needs to rely on itself to obtain and accumulate bit by bit in the current era. So Honghuo Liu Guang, after confirming that there was no so-called mystery of transcendence here, turned around and left without stopping at all. As for the pure resources in this area, in its eyes, it is far less important than its own clone. You must know that every clone with the most powerful existence and combat power definitely has its own life source, and no one wants to give up even a trace of it. This is true whether it is the current ancestral species or the resurrected supreme being. Therefore, after more than 1,600 nuclear weapons and hundreds of divine substance missiles were tilted here, many of the most powerful beings who had come to their senses began to evacuate. Only some powerful beings who were extremely short of pure resources took advantage of the turmoil caused by the nuclear bombing and began to rush around, hunting and ingesting pure blood food. Among them, the eight-headed snake in the Pacific Islands, the bloodthirsty bee in Nanming, etc., are all like this. However, since the Senluo ethnic group and the Theological Alliance are obviously unparalleled, therefore, the targets of these powerful beings are also targeting the coalition forces of Dragon Kingdom and Science Alliance. For a time, the allied forces of the Dragon Kingdom and the Science Alliance, which had already suffered heavy casualties, suffered heavy losses again. Even if some ultimate mecha warriors and top human geniuses took to the air in an attempt to block these powerful beings, they soon discovered that they could not even withstand a single blow from these powerful beings, let alone a blow. The stream of light simply transformed by the most powerful being could not withstand it. These ultimate mecha warriors and top human geniuses, hunted by the most powerful beings, were unable to fight back and turned into thick essences mixed with blood, which were swallowed into the body by the most powerful beings. Even the hard ultimate mecha was shattered into pieces by the strongest being. Among the coalition forces of the Dragon Kingdom and the Science Alliance, miserable wails and shrill sounds could be heard endlessly. All the senior leaders of the coalition forces, who had participated in that supreme meeting, also deeply felt that they had made a big mistake, this time by rashly participating in the struggle for hegemony in the western region of Dalu. Regardless of the advice of the old-school leaders in Jiang Qingfeng, it's just that in this world, there is never any regret medicine. With this nuclear explosion, it can be said that all the forces that gathered near Kirov Prefecture were in chaos. This nuclear bombing from the Hand of God system lasted for a full quarter of an hour before gradually stopping. But just after stopping, before the powerful beings could calm down, they felt that there was an army of at least tens of millions hundreds of miles away to the east, moving at an extremely fast speed. Speed is coming here. There was an aura so powerful that it made them all feel palpitations, and it was running at an unimaginable speed. A brilliant ride. Soon after, an earth-shattering wolf howl sounded in the world. Vincent's eyes in the blessed land of Kirov Prefecture suddenly showed endless excitement, and then he screamed at the top of his lungs, and led hundreds of thousands of his subordinates. Humanity began their counterattack. The ice crystal goddess sensed the arrival of the white wolf, and looked up at the aura in mid-air, that had obviously become stronger. Then she led several obscure auras behind her and headed straight towards some existences above the world-destroying level on the battlefield. And go, because only this level of flesh and blood can barely be considered a qualified pure resource for her. For a time, all the forces that had just experienced the nuclear explosion and had not yet recovered were once again plunged into bloody chaos. The Wolf King enters. The speed is unparalleled in the world, and it doesn't take long to come from thousands of miles away. If he didn't have to wait for the nuclear explosion to end, Solin would be there in an instant. After entering the venue, the first earth-shattering wolf roar came from the heavenly wolf Xiao. A huge picture of a starry sky and a howling wolf at the moon was outlined in mid-air, and then the tyrannical sound waves went straight to the Theological Alliance square formation. The first thing Su Lin planned to solve was the Theological Alliance and the speedy Golden Eagle, because whether it was due to past grudges or the current situation, Su Lin had complete murderous intention towards the Theological Alliance and the speedy Golden Eagle. The speedy Golden Eagle is obviously much stronger than that in the Gobi Desert. The surging blood gold original power and the power of the Jiang rules condensed in the Jiang bright sun made the barriers raised by the three kings of the Senluo ethnic group become more powerful. Inferior, even if the speedy Golden Eagle suffered some injuries, these could only be regarded as scratches at most to the ancestors of this generation. After using the source of divinity, he recovered instantly. Ouch! It's just that the speed of Su Lin with the bonus of Zhu Hao Sun was so terrifying that the ice sword cracked inch by inch. Accompanied by a huge sonic boom, Speedy Surin once again rushed directly towards the Golden Eagle at an indescribable speed. However, even the weakest beings were only shocked for a moment before they withdrew their sight again, because the weakest world-destroying level is clearly the limit of combat power that space can tolerate. If you break through that limit, you will reach a whole new level. Therefore, the hatred, hostility and natural liking that existed under the intuition have long made them become real opponents of death or sleep. At that moment, the sky trembled and the earth shook, accompanied by a wolf howl that shattered the sky. The Golden Eagle's body was filled with silvery origin power, cold rules, space rules, etc., all rising into the sky. However, the only thing that was the same was the Golden Eagle, Sirius Dingmi, and a flash of blood appeared in his body. With that special killing intent like a sea wave, the whole body of Shinsu Silin was as if a ball of divine fire was burning. This was the ultimate manifestation of the rules of the sun and the power of the source operating at its peak. The collision between the power of their stern rules and the power of origin, in mid-air easily shattered pieces of void one after another. Its opponent and target has always been the bloodthirsty python, a giant human skin tree. At this time, Divine Speed Surin was slowly running the source of divinity on the spot, restoring its state. At the same time, he was also quickly absorbing the essence of the giant and small Jiang Hui into his body, making its momentum rise even slower. Even Li Lao, the nearly 1,000-meter body, also expanded again. Even weak energy fluctuations swept around the other weakest beings and groups, causing them to allocate part of their energy to resist those energy torrents. That made Ding Mei advance tens of thousands of meters before regaining her balance. There was another violent collision, and the energy flow from both sides swept in all directions. But even so, the collision between the Golden Eagle and the speedy Surin still caused debris and dust to fill the sky. Just like the last time I went north to the land of adventure, the fast Golden Eagle made a surprise attack on the southern mountains weaken. The duel between the Golden Eagle and the speedy Silin almost became the center of attention. That real killing technique that incorporates hunting talent into it cannot be said to instantly increase combat power beyond the imagination of all species. The two went to the Theological Union and participated in the melee. The two joined forces and rushed towards the clone of the four-headed snake. In addition, the speedy Golden Eagle, like Su Lin, possesses unparalleled speed. This time, the bright sun was even brighter, and it directly resisted the serious roaring moon. After all, every one of them was a ruthless person who had fought in a bloody storm. How could they surrender with such difficulty? The cold rules and the wolf howling sound waves were combined into one, so weak that the ice crystal male god, who rushed out, couldn't help but look at him sideways. At that moment, all the beasts and humans knew that Speed Surin and the Arctic Wolf King were probably at their weakest level of world destruction. Before another blow collided, even the nearest small army of the Theological Alliance shook violently in this vast fortune formation. As long as I don't kill that white wolf here, I won't be able to become an enemy again. Boom. If he didn't kill it, no matter what he did, Su Lin would feel like a light was hanging on his back. At this time, Ding Mi's pair of light blue wolf eyes were facing off against the speeding Su Lin in midair, and the arrogance of both sides was rising violently. So before getting the invitation from the soul-eating demon, he resolutely came to that battlefield. The two sides have not yet reached the point where the will of the earth has come to stabilize the space. Such a scene has only occurred when the bloodthirsty python in India was promoted to civilization. This is the era with the shortest mutation time, but the top species in the world are still arrogant and weak to the point of being so arrogant one after another. The war situation in Kirov Oblast also became more bloody and cruel due to that kind of killing. Seeing the fierce collision between Godspeed Dingmai and the Arctic Wolf King, many to weak beings must deny that the species of that era were indeed weak and evil to an unimaginable level. The Golden Eagle roared to the moon like a wolf, without any firmness or hesitation at all, and directly hit the area where the Theological Alliance was. At this time, The speedy Su Lin naturally noticed the Golden Eagle and the Wolf King, who had fought a bloody battle in the Gobi Desert. Even if it's just one blow, Su Lin, who was at a disadvantage, did not pay any attention to it. The Golden Eagle is filled with ice-cold rules, and the power of silver origin, and it also transforms into a giant ice sword. Ouch! So the ice crystal male god just flashed his body, and the cold rules suddenly burst out, killing the two world-destroying beasts around him with ease. Then a trace of ferocity flashed in the ice crystal eyes, and he went straight to the clone of the White Elephant King Go. A few seconds ago, whether it was the speedy Ding Mei, with the bonus of Juyang Hao Sun, or the Golden Eagle using the Sirius Silver Moon body, their bodies expanded to thousands of meters, in the vast gathering of golden and silver light. I have never looked at the Arctic white wolf that came out of the Arctic ice field. As a result, millions of small armies in the Theological Alliance can only maintain the fortune formation. They dare not relax at all, otherwise they will be directly destroyed by the energy flow. The Golden Eagle's wolf howl sound wave was dozens of times faster than the speed of sound, and it also landed condescendingly in the sky below the Theological Union, because it is still far from the point where you and Bai Lang have broken up, and there is still a long road to cooperation between us. Kill. Divine Speed Ding Mai and Golden Eagle are both current ancestral species, and both come from their true form. Death, or rest. Ming, boom. The momentum rising from both sides at this time is not so weak that even the weakest beings feel shocked and palpitated. Especially the eyes of Speedy Silin were as cold as fire. Ever since before his defeat in the Gobi Desert, he had fantasized about fighting the Arctic Wolf King many times to wash away the shame of the past. Even without the protection of the bright sun, the rules of ice and cold are inherently interdependent with the rules of the sun and fire to a certain extent. The Golden Eagle's wolf body also received a huge influx of energy, and its size increased rapidly. It was originally like the aura of Tianhui, but it also became weaker and more powerful. You haven't seen it yet, but they all have to reach the limit of combat power that space can tolerate. If this ancestral species really had the backing of the Theological Alliance last time, or if it really had the courage to fight to the death, then there is no telling who is in the hands of the most powerful battle fortress in the world in the southern mountains now. That was clearly caused by the bonus of this round of the Moon of Destruction. Facing the speedy Su Lin, who I had fought against before, I also felt his overwhelming killing intent. The color of fear is just fleeting, not even mentioning the giant human skin tree, the deep sea monster, the little king squid, etc. that have never been seen in their true form. Could it be that era was really another era where he could only play a supporting role? But since the battle in the Gobi Desert, before the defeat, Su Lin could feel that the enormous momentum that Lao Man was about to take shape was interrupted. You must know that only 1 or 4 years have passed since the change of heaven and earth in that era. If we wait for the Arctic Wolf King to also activate his peak state, it will be especially clear who will win and who will lose. They are going to get weaker, because it understands that it relies on the bonus of the secret technique of 4 suns, an extreme violent state, to gain the upper hand. For a time, the weak beings still staying in that area were hunting the pure blood food even more slowly, so the sound wave of the wolf howling in mid-air hit the bright sun hard, just like thunder from the sky hitting the earth. But that thought is fleeting in the hearts of so many weak beings. Therefore, Shensu Dingmai screamed crazily, advancing and retreating, raising the source power and the rules of the sun to the limit. Very slowly, when the completeness of heaven and earth was too slight, the vast will of heaven and earth came again, and a burst of white fluorescent flash stabilized the space. Both Su Lin and the Golden Eagle were aware of how weak the other party was. After all, both Su Lin and the Arctic Wolf King were among the bottom 7 on the list of alien beasts after the catastrophe. The Golden Eagle on the opposite side had to deny the weakness of the 4 transformation secret technique of the blazing sun before it had a head-to-head fight with the speedy Su Lin. Very slowly, before the momentum of both of them rose to the limit, accompanied by 2 monstrous howls and wolf howls, the bodies of these several kilometers collided fiercely. The murderous intent and momentum of both sides showed such determination. Some hills that had not even been leveled by nuclear bombing were instantly reduced to nothing. How could God Su Lin want to kill me completely? Because apart from their 2 current ancestral species, there is no weakest being that can fight to such an extent. Very weak. Just like the next time I suppressed the death worm, I also had the upper hand. It's just that the Golden Eagle wants to completely kill that speedy Ding Mei, because it is willing. That blow shook the sky and the earth, and the space collapsed. 1 gold and 1 silver, 2 giant beasts thousands of meters in the air faced each other in the air, and cracks appeared in the space around them. Being able to use the power of rules to that extent, and with the energy surging all over his body to the extreme, it would be difficult for him to suppress the white wolf even if he came in person. Boom. It's just that even though it's dimmed a little, it's still a bright sun. When the 4 secret techniques of the scorching sun gather together. Boom. He is still not inferior to the bloodthirsty python he was in India. The bright sun was much dimmed in an instant, and it was even less dimmed than when it had just held on to more than 70 nuclear weapons. Farther away in Kirov Oblast, the steel factories and enterprises that had not all collapsed were also shattered into powder in the collision between the Golden Eagle and the speedy Surin. Many to the weakest beings looked over there. Kill. The murderous intent between the two sides spread like a tide. Serious ding me. With one blow, the entire space seemed to shake, and the sun rule and the ice rule were splashed in 7 places. Under the protection of that bright sun, Su Lin also jumped up quickly, reached a low altitude of tens of thousands of meters, and directly collided head-on with the Arctic Wolf King. Enemies are extremely jealous when they meet. 4 silver moons and 1 blood moon also appeared in the sky, and very slowly, like this solstice, the billowing energy surged towards the Golden Eagle's true body. The weakest world-destroying level. Divine speed. Su Lin's whole body is filled with the blood gold original power. With Debu Tiancheng's extremely fast bonus, it seems like a stream of blood. The sound of serious roaring to the moon is just a sound wave. Along the way, even the energy flow and shock waves that pass by are blocked by ice. There is no bloodthirsty python in the future, and there is no Su Lin, an Arctic Wolf King, in the front. As for the existence of the other obscure auras, they are also looking for their opponents and prey respectively. Such a modern Golden Eagle makes you feel less afraid. Now, as the Golden Eagle becomes weaker and weaker, and its mastery of the power of rules becomes deeper and deeper, Li Lao is able to initially integrate the rules of ice and retreat into the serious roaring moon. That makes the weakest beings, who rarely recover, can't help but feel a touch of shock and sadness in their eyes. Like the bloodthirsty pythons, they have long been famous, and being able to reach that level of combat power did not shock them too much. It must be said that the Golden Eagle in the place of adventure is just for you to pay attention to, in order to suppress it with injury for injury. Therefore, the Golden Eagle directly showed off his little killing skills with his hot eyes. Since before the sudden change in the world, it has not been the most dominant species. Boom.
Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.